Occult Confessions is brought to you commercial-free through the generous support of our patrons. Visit occultconfessions.com and click on Donate to help keep the history of the occult on the digital airwaves.
On the 7th of January 1967, Mohammed Chatabi crashed Paul McCartney's custom Mini Cooper, slamming it into an iron pylon and a pole that cut the car in two. Chatabi worked as an assistant for McCartney's friend, the art gallery owner Robert Hugh Fraser. They had been on their way to make a weekend of it, with Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Brian Jones at Richards' estate in West Wittering, Sussex. Chatabi survived, and he managed to conceal McCartney's illegal stash of drugs, which McCartney kept in a box in the Cooper, from the police. However, McCartney was pretty annoyed that he'd crashed his car, especially since it hadn't been insured for Chatabi to drive, and McCartney never pitched in to help Chatabi pay for his injuries. In September 1969, a rumor circulating around campus made its way into the student newspaper at Drake University in Des Moines, the capital city of Iowa. Students had been playing the Beatles' White Album backward. This was practically encouraged by the band, who frequently employed backmasking, that is to say, music and lyrics inserted backwards into a song. The White Album was an experimental tour of genres and styles. One of its more avant-garde tracks, the nonsensical Revolution No. 9, included John Lennon repeating the words "number 9" over and over. Played backward, those words sounded like "Turn Me On, Dead Man," or maybe. At least that's what the Drake student newspaper said. In October, a caller shared the story with Detroit disc jockey Russ Gibb of WKNR-FM, and Gibb started experimenting with the album. He then discovered that the end of the track "I'm So Tired" featured backmasking voiced by Lennon. Played backward, Lennon supposedly said, "Paul is dead, man. Miss him, miss him, miss him." A legend began to develop. On the evening of the 8th of November 1966, according to the story, Paul McCartney had an argument with his bandmates and stormed out of their studio at Abbey Road. He failed to see a traffic light turn red and ran his Aston Martin into a light pole, decapitating himself. He was discovered early on the morning of the 9th and secretly transported to a morgue. The Beatles hired the winner of a McCartney look-alike contest, William Shears Campbell, to replace the dead Paul. At least so the conspiracy goes. Conspiracy theorists found ample evidence for the legend in the Beatles' playful and postmodern album covers and songs. On Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Paul wore an OPD patch on his band uniform for officially pronounced dead. So says the conspiracy. In fact, this was an OPP patch for Ontario Police Patrol that Lennon had received while the band was on tour in Canada. Hey, Nikki. Billy Shears is the name of the lead singer in the fictional Lonely Hearts Club Band. The album ends with the song "A Day in the Life," featuring a man who, quote, blew his mind out in a car, and the White Album's "Don't Pass Me By," a song that I have sung to my children, includes the line, "You were in a car crash and you lost your hair." They love that line. Played forward, the Musique Concrète Revolution No. 9 makes reference to hitting a pole with a car. The Abbey Road album cover features McCartney crossing the street with his bandmates. He's the only one who's barefoot and out of step with the others. All right, let's take this fever pitch down for a second. In November 1969, Life magazine published an interview with Paul McCartney and his wife Linda, meant to put an end to the rumors. A special aired on Halloween night on WKBW out of Buffalo that concluded that the whole plot was likely an elaborate practical joke perpetrated by John Lennon. Perhaps Lennon had been thinking of the car accident that had split McCartney's car, but not McCartney. Or perhaps he was just in a Paul is dead kind of mood when he recorded "I'm So Tired." The world may never know. McCartney is perhaps the first, but he certainly wasn't the last person accused of having or being a secret clone. Or, in his case, a doppelganger. Maybe you even have a secret clone yourself. Today, on the conclusion of our Doppelganger series, Secret Clones. My name is Dr. Robert C. Thompson, and I am joined by our Grand Master, Olivia Littoral.
Hello, hello, hello.
Big Beatles fan, Olivia?
You want me to say my hot take so that all these people that like the Beatles, which is pretty much everyone except for me, are going to come for me.
All right, you've said enough. You've said enough.
I have the Beatles community, QAnon. You want to get the BTS community after me too?
I think QAnon is probably more focused on me.
Yeah, I also put like 2 bands and like a highly dangerous conspiracy theory group together, so that's kind of odd. Yeah, I'm just, I feel like everyone's got that ex that was too obsessed with the Beatles,
Yeah.
No. Nikki, are you laughing because it's relatable, or?
No.
You never had that?
My mom was really obsessed with the
Oh,
Beatles.
shit.
Close enough.
Well,
Is she still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That doesn't generally go away. Some people get over the Beatles. Most people don't. That's a lifelong commitment. My dad loved the Beatles. I'm good with the Beatles. Not on the constant rotation on the Spotify, but I won't turn them off. I do sing them to the kids.
Some fun songs. I like that. Well, what was the seed? Nope. This is never
Yellow
mind.
Submarine?
No, I was thinking that like the Rocky Raccoon or whatever the.
Oh yeah, I sang that one to my kids too.
Oh, that's fun. I like that one.
I like to sing songs about car crashes and people getting shot in hotels.
Yeah.
You know what? Prepare them for the real world.
Happiness is a warm gun. That's kind of a banger.
Ooh, it's a good one.
I haven't gotten that one in the lullabies, but maybe we'll enter the rotation. Nikki Anderson, welcome back.
Hello.
Nikki is untitled, and I have been thinking hard about this. Since she is our naked podcaster, I thought she would be the naked truth of the Occult Confessions Alchemical Actors. Does that sit well with you, Nikki?
Yes, I'm so glad to have a name. Thank you.
You
I
shall be
knew it
named.
was going to include naked. I knew that was going to make it into the title. I'm okay with it. It's the truth.
It amuses me every time. Cracks me up. Love it. I love it. And there are a lot of listeners out there who are naked, right? So it's only fair.
Like right now,
More
or
people
just in
should
general?
podcast naked because it's podcasting. No one can see you.
It's
Why
true.
not be naked?
Why not be naked? Olivia, we went through
In fact,
this whole
you
phase.
guys are weird. You have clothes on right now.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of sweating, so maybe
It's a
you're
little
like,
warm.
Well,
A
hey.
little warm.
yeah.
We had that whole thing with the ladies in the bath listening to us. We went through that phase.
Oh yeah, we had
Yeah.
some ladies in the bath listening to us. That was pretty.
I'll listen to a
Safe to
podcast in the
assume
shower.
they're naked.
I'm all right with that.
I hope
I
they're
gotta
not
crank it up so I can
clothed.
hear it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's done. Let's put a sound effect in there. Hooray. Accomplished. Let's go ahead and pledge it out. We, the members of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors, do solemnly commit ourselves to a full and honest telling of the history of the occult as far as we know it. Always a delight. Always a delight doing this remotely. Open up the Order of Confessors, Olivia.
This is the thing where you want me to sing some new shit, and every time I'm gonna probably come up with something different till something sticks and people like it.
Write in if you liked that one.
Yeah, I'm also a
Send
little
us a
sick, guys. I'm
message.
sorry.
We want to welcome just a couple of folks today, Astornot and Ray D. I want to apologize to patrons
Ray.
who have been joining because we're recorded way in advance. My semester began and I started work on my spring production. We're doing The Tempest this semester, so I tried to get as much recorded as I could of the Doppelganger series before, I got into all that. But patrons, we will catch up with you. There are some bonus episodes to look forward to this month. Brianna Literal, our metallurgic prophet, is bringing us a bonus episode on Patreon about Pazuzu, which I believe involves a serial killer. We haven't recorded that yet.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I encourage you, as usual, to check us out on Discord and YouTube. Those are places where we can connect, we can make friends, we can talk, things occult, things not occult, whatever. We're there for you.
Instagram? Did you say Instagram?
Instagram is also a thing.
Oh.
I agree.
I
You
guess-
can see pictures of us.
Yeah, I guess you can talk to us on Instagram. I guess people don't. Do we respond on Instagram? I
Yeah, we
respond
do,
on
yeah.
Instagram.
Yep. Yeah. You can connect, get in tag with Olivia personally. You accept requests, yeah?
Yeah, unless they're weird. Not like
Now you know.
not like, I'm being haunted by a ghost weird, I'll accept that shit all day. But, you know,
if you were thinking to yourself, I don't know if I'm weird, and Olivia did not accept you.
Well, no, that's... you know, if you hit me with some Ayo girl...
Join the Illuminati. Join the Illuminati today.
No,
well, that's
supernatural
interesting.
Illuminati is interesting. She's saying don't flirt with her.
Don't sexually
you know what? Bring
assault
us with
me.
that goes.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, it's
Instagram,
through the DMs.
you know.
Yeah.
But yes, if you talk to us on Instagram, I will talk to you. If you talk to Olivia, she will talk to you. So by all means, DM us up. And let's close up that order of confessors.
Closing it up. We're closing it up. Closing it up.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice. All right, so I just want to warn everyone that I had too much fun with this. So if you couldn't tell already with the intro, I'm going to let some of this conspiracy theory fly, and you're just going to have to, I guess, put on that critical ear and remember to yourself when it sounds ridiculous. So let's get going here, because Paul McCartney we've handled. According to conspiracy theory, one anyway eerily similar to the story about Paul McCartney's doppelganger, the exact same thing happened to Britney Spears in the year 1998. Were you both alive in 1998?
Yes, sir.
Just
barely for Nikki.
a single year.
I was 4 years old and living my life.
You're old enough to be buying Britney CDs at 4.
Big. Oh my God. Sorry. I can't tangent. The Lucky CD was like my prized possession. We would go camping and I would sit in the car and make my parents run the fucking car so I could listen to the Lucky CD.
Like, you mean like you'd just be sitting in the driveway?
No, just like we were
Parking
camping.
lot.
So I would be sitting in the car while everyone's like at the campsite.
But you just needed your Britney hit.
Yeah, I'm singing like, she's so lucky,
Hit me,
she's
baby,
a star.
one more time.
Yeah,
Nikki,
Anyway.
how about you? You have a relationship with Britney going back to the 90s? You were very young.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the 2000s.
But still, I think it was the first cassettes I owned were Spice Girls, Britney Spears, and Billy Ray Cyrus.
She's a huge sex symbol in the early 2000s, perhaps creepily so, in part because she did trade on that, schoolgirl image, and then she, I think, has since become kind of a gay icon. Am I right?
Britney Spears?
The gays have always loved her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's...
In like a dance pop kind of way, you know, like they pump her at the gay clubs. And I mean, I feel
fashion.
like whenever... Yes.
Like her...
And whenever someone's wronged, like she is in her conservatorship, that's the kind of thing that gays really rally behind, is when people are like oppressed or not treated right. That's something that everyone like can relate to.
Yeah, it's sort of like a third act for her. Now she's sort of a mascot for people who have been poorly treated because of mental health issues. No? I mean, across the board.
Yeah.
Not, gay, straight, all of the above. Well, anyway, we're talking about Britney Spears and whether or not she's a clone. So,
After all that.
So, in 1998, she was apparently replaced by a human clone. And I do think that this reflects back on some of that mental health stuff that we just mentioned. While driving in a car with then-boyfriend Justin Timberlake, legend tells that there's somebody we could do without. Legend tells that Spears was decapitated. Sorry, hot take? I don't think so. Come on.
I don't know. What did he do to you?
I don't have affectionate feelings for Justin Timberlake.
Right, I don't think anybody does. Why do we as a people? Why do we need that?
Ramen
Why do we
noodle
be
hair,
subjected to
though, I do have
you're into
affectionate
that.
feelings about that.
I was going to say, I think the only thing people have affectionate feelings towards is that ramen noodle hair.
And that all denim outfit, that was...
That Canadian tuxedo, you mean?
It was of its time, for sure.
So, legend tells that Timberlake and Spears were decapitated. They were driving in a car. They were killed, decapitated. The corporation's responsible, just like McCartney, the corporation's responsible.
Why is it always decapitation?
I'm going to get it. You got to save that question for the end, Nikki. Of course, I'm going to psychoanalyze these.
In the is this a Walt Disney thing? Is that where we're going?
No.
Okay.
That's cryogenics. He's still frozen under the thing. They're not going to come back to life. We're just going to make a whole new one from scratch.
Yeah, okay.
And by we, I mean the corporation's responsible for producing and selling her music. So the corporations responsible for producing and selling her music replaced her with between 2 and 5 different clones. I mean, if you're going to clone somebody, you might as well. These literal biological copies of Britney Spears explain why her appearance changed drastically in the early 2000s, as opposed to just like, going through your 20s and, trying out different styles, as well as her highly publicized meltdowns. So these were the clones breaking down. They also arguably explain why anyone would marry Kevin Federline.
Sorry, I just didn't expect that.
See, I told you, we're going to have some fun today.
Have fun.
This is not just Rob telling serious...
I love this because it's like
stories.
as close to pop culture as we get.
Good. Yeah, we get. This is as poppy, other than
like
the tulpas.
This is our gossip podcast right now. Yeah.
Justin Timberlake was badly burned in this legendary accident and ended up in a coma and was replaced by a clone. But who cares about him? Like I said.
Wait, he was decapitated and burned?
No, I was wrong. He wasn't decapitated. It turns out he was just burned.
But Britney was decapitated.
I just really wanted him to be decapitated. The Spears conspiracy loops in the cloning theme because the supposed accident was only a year after Scottish researchers cloned Dolly the sheep in 1996. So if we're thinking about, now getting serious, if we're thinking about folklore and legend, cloning becomes this huge thing, and then, the Britney story pops.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And why would we even be considering Britney Spears, though, in the same terms as cloning? So it's because of a rumor that's of the Spears and Timberlake accident, which started with DJs Keith Kramer and Tony Twitch Longo. This was the 90s.
Okay.
Tony the Twitch was certainly not the only Twitch in 1998.
Definitely doing drugs, right? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say that man is tweaking.
Yeah. He was doing
twitching.
Yeah.
Tweaking and twitching at Dallas's KEGL-FM.
Ooh, okay.
Keith and the Twitch, they had considered...
That's so weird.
That's so redneck, I can't.
Well, it's Texas, man.
It's just Keith and then
Keith
Twitch.
and the Twitch
Keith and the
over
Twitch.
here.
All my love to our Texas listeners. Why do we have a lot of listeners in Texas? I'm here for you guys. They had considered claiming that Metallica member James Hetfield had died, but they decided that fans wouldn't find that particularly funny since KEGL was a rock station, so a little too close to home. So they decided to switch the subject of their hoax to a pair of pop stars that their audience wouldn't care much about one way or the other, and they were fired for saying on air that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake had been killed in an auto accident.
I mean, he knew what he was doing.
Sounded like fun and games. Okay, until the Twitch doesn't have any money to pay for his Twitches. So... This is what Justin Timberlake had to say about it. His voice, as always, is being impersonated by our own actor.
I know the first thing I did was call Britney because I was like, well, maybe it got twisted. Maybe something did happen to her. We had both heard about it at the same time, and then she was like, I can't believe this. By the time we actually talked about it, it had been all the way around the world. I feel sorry that they got fired. I don't know why anyone would make up something like that. That's between them and their radio station. I'm not upset about it. I'm not pissed off towards anybody. I don't have any animosity towards these DJs for doing it. It just sucks that my family was so worried about it. And Britney's family too, because they're a part of my family. I feel like I've grown up with them too.
I can't believe he actually does speak out on a lot of shit. I don't know.
Got a lot of opinions.
Maybe it's because he's
Well,
not
no,
that
he'll own up.
popular, so he's just got to get the limelight one way.
He wrote that Trolls song.
He I don't know, he comes for pretty much any time anyone's like, you should speak on this, thing that you were involved in, he, does now.
Yes, he's desperate for the spotlight.
No, not in a good way. He's, admitting to wrong. With the whole Janet, Jackson shit. Yeah. And,
he got away with some shit there. That was bullshit.
No, but that's why recently in the last year, he, it was a whole thing on Twitter.
Too little, too late.
Well, yeah, but I'm just,
The false accident, much like the accident with McCartney's friend, did not include any mention of a doppelganger or clone. That detail came, as I'm saying, in part through the whole Dolly thing, after the radio hoax, and then helped to perpetuate the legend. So, I guess Dolly the sheep makes cloning popular, Britney and Justin are already popular. These DJs create this legend that they died. They don't say anything about cloning, but somehow in the ether of pop culture, Dolly the sheep and the Britney Justin car death meld. They meld in part through Donald Marshall, who was largely responsible for the cloned Britney theory. He claims to have been cloned himself since childhood at a secret underground military laboratory.
Oh, we can trust this guy.
He's
for
that
sure.
important?
In fact, Marshall himself isn't Marshall, so I don't know if we can trust him. He's a clone of Marshall.
Okay.
There are cloning laboratories all over the world, creating copies of world leaders and celebrities and, as Olivia's pointing out, Donald Marshall,
Yeah.
who is neither of those
This
things
guy.
My next door neighbor.
for various purposes. These laboratories use duplication rather than replication cloning. I know you're asking. I'm going to tell you.
Yep.
Replication cloning produces a baby that needs to grow up. So that's time consuming. I mean, I've got one right now. That's going to take a while. Duplication cloning is done in a giant petri dish and produces a full adult clone in a matter of months. Yeah.
In the petri dish?
Now you-
So it's like a human-sized petri dish.
When does it outgrow the petri dish?
I'm really picturing
Does it
this.
get a new shell of a petri
It's-
dish?
You got the tube. You need the tube. But the conspiratorial cloning technology is imperfect, and clone organs are not viable for transplant. Clones are also susceptible to erratic behavior. Hence, this goes back on the Britney stuff. Oddly, since Marshall claims to be a clone, the suggestion that clones eventually begin to mentally break down casts serious doubt on anything he has to say.
He
yeah.
played himself.
Yeah. See, he's trying to pick on Britney for her breakdowns, but come on, man. You just caught yourself in your own trap there. Whatever. The animated music video for Britney Spears' Break the Ice, which I'm sure we all have, what do you call it? Bookmarked on our YouTubes, features Britney destroying a cloning facility, which, says Marshall, was identical to an actual cloning facility, which incidentally looks very much like every cloning facility in every sci-fi movie involving clones or every Rick and Morty episode that you've ever seen. So back to the Petri dish, ladies. Don't worry, we don't have, 100-pound naked Britney Spears crushing your Petri dish. We've moved her to a large glass tube with the bubbles, and the tubes and stuff. You've seen it.
Right. Okay.
It's like rows and rows of them. Also, in her song Mona Lisa, there's a lyric that encourages us to just be cloned. She says, presumably about herself, she's the original, she's unforgettable, she wants you to know she's been cloned. Was she talking about Mandy Moore,
God.
Barry Manilow's Mandy, Jessica Simpson, Ashley Simpson, Homer Simpson? Clearly. The Britney clone, the repetitively replicated Mona Lisa, if you will, is hiding in plain sight. What's more, Elton John's suggestion, or rather Bernie Taupin's in Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatter's, that Spanish Harlem are not just pretty words to sing, contributes nothing whatsoever to this conversation.
Look, if Britney's a clone, right now, then she is killing it on Instagram. I love her clone. Her clone is...
Go. Well, I mean, that's like version 8.0 by now. We've been through a series of
perfecting
Britney
that
clones.
shit, because she is dishing it out. She does not give a flying anymore, and I love it.
Yeah, all I can think is the mental health thing. That's all I can think when they are talking about the clones breaking down and outbursts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like I'm just thinking of it like if I start acting weird, quote unquote, one day because I was having a bad day and someone was like, yo, I think Nikki's a clone and she's breaking down. I'd be like, what the fuck? Really?
Yeah.
What? Hey now. It's low.
Yeah.
It's also
Go ahead.
particularly to me as someone that has bipolar, and I know Britney also does, I'm just kind of really? You're gonna compare having bipolar and having mood, a mood disorder to being a clone. Do you know what I mean? It's almost I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm not.
The Donald
No.
Marshall thing is icky, I think, for sure. What he's up to is icky. And even though he's claiming, that he himself is a clone, taking her life experience and transforming it into this bizarre sci-fi murder mystery,
Yeah.
it's just wildly inappropriate, right?
It's like Nikki is saying, like, if someone did that, like, it's just like, it's highly
It's-
The
insulting.
only reason it's not, well, yeah, but the only reason it's not so, like, when I said it sounds so ridiculous, the only reason people think it's not ridiculous about Britney is because of the timing of the sheep getting cloned and the timing of this, jerk being like, they die, or the people on the radio saying that she died, and that just having to line up with her mental health, shifting. That's the only reason that, like, Rob's right, it's like the perfect storm. Because if someone came out to me when I was having, like, a different mood day and was like, hey, I think you're a clone, you're breaking down, everyone would be like, what?
Weirdo.
Where'd you pull that out? Like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that? Huh?
Yeah, where's the corporate
So-
interest that's paying for you to be cloned underground?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it only because it's celebrities and it just, everything lined up for the worst.
Yeah, but it's a terrible way to take the experience of dealing with mental health and transform it into this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfair to people who have to actually live with it, including Britney. Let's talk about Eminem, shall we?
God, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, heck yeah.
I don't know
Eminem,
anything about
who-
this.
By the way, performed with Elton John at the 2001 Grammys. Slightly more perplexing variant of the clone celebrity, although his whole stage persona includes, dare we remember, multiple pseudonyms, including Eminem, who was actually born Marshall Bruce Mathers III. Also Slim Shady.
The third.
Yeah, the third. How about that? No wonder he changed that.
I didn't know that.
Marshall Bruce Mathers and Slim Shady. He claimed to he's the real Shady. He claimed to have nearly died. Right, half of his music is, is protesting too much. I'm the real Shady, he says. How do we know? Why would you be telling us that? I don't start the podcast by saying, I'm the real Rob. What do you have to hide, Eminem?
You should. You really should. I'm the real Rob Thompson.
I'm Dr. Rob. I'm the real Dr. Rob. Everyone would start to wonder, why does he keep telling us that? Maybe he's not.
Oh, my God.
He claimed to have nearly died while in rehab from a drug overdose. Eminem himself. This is real. But conspiracy theorists know better than Eminem. Come on.
Of course.
For them, there's no such thing as nearly died, just died. The theory claims Eminem was murdered by the Illuminati in yet another car crash. That's the third car crash so far.
Was he decapitated? Are you going to say he was decapitated?
Yeah, you got so excited. You swallowed the word.
Yeah.
The Illuminati had offered to let Eminem join their ranks, and when he declined, they successfully plotted to kill him in a staged accident. There are several proofs to this clone conspiracy, including vocal differences between the pre- and post-2005 Eminem, changes to his hairline. You can Google this stuff. Because he wasn't just balding.
I know what you're talking about.
And the time he glitched out or spaced out because he did a lot of drugs. Hence, he had to go to rehab because he nearly died. But he glitched out on live television. This was a big moment in the 2000s when Eminem just sort of like stopped speaking in the middle of a sentence on, I don't know, VH1 or something.
He's just tripping.
Yeah, come on. The Eminem conspiracy begins to hint at the larger body of conspiracy theory undergirding these claims, which starts, as most truly horrible conspiratorial things do, with convicted armed robber Fritz Springmeier, a name longtime listeners have heard in reference to both the John Todd witch cult Illuminati theories and the CIA mind control theories. You remember Springmeier at all?
The name is very
The bank
familiar.
robbery, maybe.
Familiar.
Springmeier details 3 possible types of clones produced by the Illuminati. First are the actual clones fertilized in a test tube and grown in a womb to duplicate another person. Second, there's the synthetic people who are grown from certain tissues extracted from cattle, a process first developed in the late 1950s, which was responsible for the cattle mutilation scare falsely attributed to the chupacabra or extraterrestrials or Barry Manilow. Finally,
What? Hold. Okay. All right. Just that was
throwing
a
in
lot.
a few things today to keep you on your toes.
Okay.
Finally, there are the organic robotoids.
Oh, love those.
That's the organic
That sounds
robotoids.
contradictory.
The organic or the robotoids?
Both the concept of organic robots.
I feel like you go into your doctor and be like, "Hey, you got any cream for my robotoids?"
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton have either been replaced by these robotoids or coexist with robotoid doppelgangers. I'll let Fritz Springmeier explain exactly what they are. Again, this isn't really Fritz.
Scientists are now able to manipulate DNA to create computers. A holographic image of the person's brain is made, and then when the brain of a robotoid is made, the biological computer in its head is caused to form according to the holographic record of the person being copied. Some deviations from the holographic record are needed because the person is a robotoid and not a person. The brain of the robotoid has almost all of the correct memory of the person reproduced, but the robotoid brain is a computer made from biological material which is programmed. It is not a human brain.
Wow, I feel real dumb right now.
There's a lot of contradictions in that, right? Like, I'm not just being crazy. That's a lot of contradictions.
Yes, you got your robotoid that's made out of DNA.
I don't even like this
Okay,
word.
but it's a computer.
No, it's a terrible
A
word.
computer made out of human DNA, so not a computer.
Yeah,
can
no, not
it-
really. There's a computer in its head, though. It's up in the brain.
Isn't
or
our
whatever.
DNA like kind of already like? Don't we learn that in class? Like your DNA is like a computer, like it's like software.
It's a metaphor.
Well, no, because I remember even with one of my episodes I did, which one was it? I don't even remember now. But I had to do it was science. It was science related. I had to look up science.
Central to Springmeier's theory is the idea that the brain stores information in hologram form, and this hologram can be accessed and copied. Brains can be scanned and copied like running off a ditto on the old mimeograph machine.
Well, you can get an MRI.
Right, but they're copying you instead of just, looking.
Well,
for later
okay,
use.
but it's not like they're saying there's new technology. Like, they're just saying, like, we just take an MRI and then steal the homework
You're
off
sort of
it.
taking the concept of the MRI and like bringing it to the next level. Although we have to accept this idea that memories are stored holographically. That's an incredibly bizarre idea, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who knows. There's absolutely no evidence for that. Olivia, what were you going to say?
Just this whole thing is like slowly, I feel like leading up to like the actual like reality of like how they like can take and like hologram like all these like famous people. Like didn't they do this with Whitney Houston and it was like really controversial?
Well, there was a Tupac
where
hologram. They've done it with a few dead people. Like there's Michael Jackson. Didn't they do Michael Jackson?
But I know with like, I think so. But like I know it's like always been kind of like controversial. But also because there's like that software now where you can like literally just take people's like voice and just like make
these days
songs
now.
with
Yeah.
their
Well, I
shit,
mean, but if we go back to the 90s conspiracy community, they were also kind of obsessed with holograms. Kathy O'Brien claimed that George Bush made himself look like a lizard man using holograms.
Yeah. But it's kind of like we got there, is what I guess I'm kind of saying.
Oh, yeah, we've arrived at their dystopia. Springmeier's dystopia has caught up with us.
Yeah, because it's like the hologram thing is like, it's like an issue. Like, is it okay to like do that even if you're like compensating the family and they're okay with it?
But these these are still not robotoids that are made out of DNA. And okay.
So, no, yeah. I get
we'll
it.
confuse them for people.
Anyway.
Clones are manufactured in Ada, Oklahoma, near Mount Hood, in Oregon. Also at the Dulce Underground facility in New Mexico. Those are the 3 spots where you could make a clone. Dulce.
Well, that
the New
one
Mexico
makes
one,
more
and
sense.
Ada, Oklahoma, and Mount Hood.
Yeah, then Oklahoma.
Dulce is the tribal headquarters of the Jicarilla Apache Reservation on the New Mexico-Colorado border and is roughly 100 miles north of Los Alamos, the birthplace of the atomic bomb. So, as Olivia's saying, great place to be doing shady scientific research. Philip Schneider. What? Go ahead.
That's the... Oh, sorry. That's where the airport... whole thing,
Area
right?
51?
The, like, Duluth airport.
Philip Schneider, an explosives engineer working for the government, claimed that an underground laboratory at Dulce was the site of a battle between the United States Army and subterranean extraterrestrials. Saddle in, ladies.
Hell yeah.
Schneider, the son of Oscar Schneider, who helped to invent the first nuclear submarine, true story, had been contracted to drill holes to study the rock layers. Schneider the Younger found it suspicious that his work was being supervised by Green Berets until he was confronted by a 7-foot-tall gray alien who shot off his fingers. The subsequent battle killed 67 humans. At the laboratory, aliens had been given permission to experiment on humans and cattle in exchange for access to their alien technology. Apparently, while they had developed incredible finger-destroying ray guns, these particular extraterrestrials needed to be given permission to access cows and humans for probing.
When is this?
This is the 90s.
Oh, shit. Okay, this is way after Eisenhower Treaty shit.
Oh, yeah. In addition to these underground aliens, Dulce housed experiments in mind control, genetic engineering, and here we go, Walt Disney, cryogenics. There's your frozen head.
Oh, shit.
Schneider made a career of publishing. That's a myth. Schneider made a career of publishing and touring his tales of terrestrial extraterrestrials until his untimely death in January 1996. His death was initially attributed to a stroke, but then switched to suicide by rubber catheter hose. I'm not kidding here.
What?
Yes.
What? Wait.
He choked himself to death with a rubber catheter hose. In 96. January, that is.
That
naturally
seems difficult, right?
Well,
you can choke yourself with anything if you're determined.
Jesus.
Yes, but I feel like the plastic...
Okay, that...
Sorry, this is
not a
getting
recommendation. We do not...
No,
don't do that.
No, yeah.
Nobody do that. Nobody experiment with that.
Oh, God, just cut
We love
cut
you.
all
Be safe
that.
out there. Stay away.
I take it back.
Put that catheter hose where it belongs. Or just stay away from catheter hoses if you can manage it. Stay healthy. Drink your cranberry juice.
We are anti-catheter on this podcast. This
it's
is
okay.
our stand. I'm making it
If you're having
now.
a prostate issue, do what you got to do.
Unless it's a medical issue.
Naturally, his fellow conspiracy theorists suspected foul play because he died in a weird situation. In 1990, activist and UFO investigator Norio Hayakawa brought a crew from Nippon TV to investigate these claims, or Nippon. He was not convinced by what he saw.
As far as the Dulce controversy is concerned, yes, there may be something there. The underground base story is most likely a story, perhaps concocted by the government's Black Projects program. I personally think that the government did experiment in bovine diseases research in the mid-1970s in the Dulce area as part of biological warfare research.
Biological warfare, but perhaps not clones. Synthetic people and robotoids are less dependable than doppelgangers, and they live longer, presumably for the same reasons Marshall outlined. So there you go. There's alternatives. Springmeyer says powerful people often aren't inclined to avail themselves of any of this technology. Rather, powerful people scour the globe for individuals who look just like them or close enough to them and augment the similarities with plastic surgery. So after going down all that, truth be told, if you're rich enough, you're not going to bother creating your own clone. You could, but you're just going to find a guy who looks like you. That's easier.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's out there. I've seen that you guys.
Prosthetic nose, a wig.
Is it you, Olivia? There's some people who've been like, "Hey, Rob, there's a guy who looks like you on, I don't know, someplace."
Oh,
it's happened before.
That has happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also get people send me people sometimes just on the internet and are like,
That look like you.
I thought this was you. And I'm like,
See, if you were like a multi-millionaire, like the president of the United States, you could be like, "Bring me that girl."
I need her.
Yeah, and she just play you.
That'd be a fun, Disney Channel original movie. Instead of the how they always, there's like
The twin thing.
there's like the swap. Yeah, like, oh, your life is so much better. You're rich and I'm poor. And then they swap, but then they're like, oh no, I want my life back. It'll be like that, but different.
Instead of them always being twins, it'll just be a queen finding a random lady and being like,
Yeah.
you look like me, but without bangs. Cut bangs on her.
Yeah.
And putting her to work as a doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians like Bush and Clinton, bear in mind this comes from Springmeier, who concocted his theory in the 1990s. So we're talking about Bush 1. They use their doubles to perform ceremonial duties while they sneak off to engage in satanic rituals. Now, there's a Disney movie I want to see.
Oh, yeah. My Date with the Satanic President's Daughter? I don't know where that was.
So, we'll work on the title. Springmeier traces this practice back to Roosevelt and possibly before. Roosevelt's double, like Eminem's, had small physical differences from Roosevelt himself, presumably hairline-based. From a scientific perspective.
Age-based.
Yeah, a little bit off. According to science, the synthetic creation of human clones is possible but not likely. Clones already exist in nature, and we call them monozygotic twins. 1 in 85 births is a twin birth, and 1 in 10 births involves identical twins. I mentioned Dolly the sheep at the beginning. She was successfully cloned by Scottish researchers in 96 by introducing the cell nucleus of an adult cell, in this case from an udder, into an enucleated or immature egg cell, also known as an oocyte. Everybody's having flashbacks to Bio 101. The udder cell was reprogrammed as an embryonic cell in order to form the cloned sheep. But this reprogramming process is, as Donald Marshall suggests, and he was correct, is badly fallible, although the rest of it that he did was dirty. The cloning process had been tried on frogs before Dolly, resulting in cloned tadpoles, but those tadpoles never reached adulthood. Outside of cows, the proportion of live offspring per embryo is 1 to 2%. Cows are unique. Of those offspring, those that do make it through gestation to birth, most are born with fatal abnormalities, including overgrowth, overweight, breathing problems, liver fibrosis, and cardiac myopathy. Dolly the sheep died of arthritis after 6 years, roughly half the lifespan of a non-cloned sheep. And now everybody knows how long sheep live for. I bet you didn't know that before. Don't even tell me. Like 8 of you knew how long sheep live for. Sheep live for a dozen years. Adult stem cells, which exist throughout the body to replenish dying cells and replace damaged tissue, have since been identified for most cell types and create the clearest opening onto something like human cloning. This might be what you're talking about a bit, Olivia, with the program existing in the cell, in the DNA, that we can use these stem cells to create anything.
I just feel like in science class, it's what they always used to say is like, that your DNA is like a... Maybe not. I'm probably making this up.
The concept of stem cells is often spoken of in terms of the creepy but less conspiratorial creation of what are called therapeutic clones that exist as stem cell and organ donors for the parent. So you could, create a heart or a liver if you needed one. In theory. We can't do this yet, gang, but in theory. All right, Nikki, I'm going to try and make sense of this. We're going to get back to your question from the beginning. Yes.
Wait, sorry. Are you saying that you're saying they can't make organs that way?
In theory, it's possible.
Because can't they? They
we
do
haven't
make.
quite got there yet. We've modified them in pigs and stuff, I believe, and then transplanted them successfully. But like petri dishing it on up, I think we're still working on that.
Huh. That's crazy.
Cloning conspiracies are... So here's Rob's take on all of this, and this I think is especially important on today's batshit episode. Let's make this smart, shall we? Cloning conspiracies are almost too obvious in the way they telegraph our anxiety over loss of identity. But this makes them somewhat unique among conspiracy theories. Most theories worry over loss of agency. We are being manipulated against our will by corporations and governments for their own nefarious purposes. But in the cloning conspiracies, we are not only being manipulated, we could be replaced. Pop musicians. Notice that all of these are about specifically pop musicians. No other celebrity is entering the crosshairs of the cloning conspiracy. Because these people are the paragons of personal expression. Unlike actors who take on various roles, the pop musician always plays an exaggerated version of themselves based on a special talent for translating their internal emotional life into lyrics and music. The fact that McCartney and Spears were both decapitated, Nikki, by their legend of their untimely demise focuses attention on the head, not only the home of our unique minds, but also our unique faces and voices.
Okay.
Everything that makes them special is from the neck up. They have very lovely bodies, but the singer. Not that Britney was ever really known for her singing voice.
I mean, she was.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, Christina was the singer of all the girls of that era. Britney was the dancer.
Sure, but
right.
She has her unique voice because.
Oh, yeah. It's
that's not her
unmistakable.
real, technically her real singing voice, but her people wanted her to sing that way, so she had to.
But it's a signature, right, of hers. It's everything that makes her unique.
Yeah.
So we got to decapitate. Why are we so... We don't have to. Why are we so anxious that the most identity-driven among us can be decapitated and replaced? Millions of people can identify what makes these celebrities unique, as Olivia's talking about that voice, and they are or were, at the time of their alleged replacement, often in the public eye. We're not necessarily getting photos of Paul McCartney leaving his house today, but in 1969, the man could not go anywhere without people being on top of him. In 1998, Britney could not go anywhere. In 2005, Eminem could not go anywhere. So these conspiracy theories are rooted to the time when these people were perpetually in front of us, the mass audience. If the Illuminati or the music label or the government can replace them, then they most certainly could do it to us for any reason at any time. You would think it's almost impossible, right, to replace these people that are being monitored constantly and are so unique, or at least are marketed as being so unique. But they can do it, says these conspiracy theories. It's a kind of hyper anxiety that's that we're giving voice to with the clones. Much of the various cloning conspiracies are about the danger of technology as well, and in this way, they are fairly prophetic. The car is almost always the means of execution, itself the epitome of 20th century invention. In the later conspiracies with Britney Spears and Eminem, also Donald Marshall and Fritz Springmeier, the technology goes beyond the car to strange underground laboratories filled with advanced medicine, robotics, and computer programming. These conspiracy theories reflect our anxiety over the fact that our technology threatens to steal our identities by replicating us beyond recognition. In McCartney's case, this may have reflected the ability of mass media to mass-produce his image over and over again. The Beatles were some of the first international pop music celebrities, their albums selling in nearly every corner of the globe. They made movies, they were in magazines, they were on merchandise. By the time of Spears and Eminem, this phenomenon had grown exponentially through the influence of digital media and the internet. Pop stars may seem to be masters of their own destiny, but in fact they have lost much of their agency and identity to the mass market, who seeks to label and control them. Did former Disney Mouseketeer Britney Spears ever really belong to herself? Or was she always a product to be bought and sold in duplicated form over and over again? Mona Lisa. Dark, right? It's dark. No wonder she has issues.
In a sad way, when you take the cloning out of it, that's not entirely, that is kind of what happened. She, her parents used her as a product to sell her whole life. So you could strip away the cloning from that theory and it's still kind of true and darker and sadder.
The fear of the technology, I think, is real. And the cloning conspiracy does get at something genuine there. That the technology does do these things to us and that the mass culture does these things to us. I mean, it's freakish, isn't it? As Chris Rock used to say, it's freakish for a stand-up comedian to be able to stand in front of, thousands of people and they all just watch him. It's freakish and bizarre. It's I mean, when you think about, I'm not going to Rousseau us too much here, but when you think about the fact that, ultimately we're supposed to be living in these villages, right? Where we, hang out and get married and have kids and die. And we talk to each other and we tell stories and we put on plays and we have a good time. But nobody ever is beloved or obsessed over by millions of people. Only technology makes that possible. And it's not natural to, naturally, we're not naturally inclined to have this experience. You know?
Yeah.
It's distorting to us psychologically. I mean, we see this with so many teenage celebrities, particularly child stars, right?
Yeah, young fame is horrific.
It's hard to overcome.
All around.
It's rare that we see people really get through it.
Yeah.
The fact that we care and we share these legends shows our guilt over our implication in hijacking celebrities' personalities, but also our fear over having our own personalities hijacked. We have all become mass marketers providing content for a few big Silicon Valley corporations, most notably Facebook, Google, and Apple. And I could list all of the platforms that we publish this podcast to as well. If we are constantly placing ourselves in front of the eyes of an internet audience, to what extent have we lost the ability to live for ourselves rather than for that audience? Led by MTV's Real World and the Kardashians and Paris Hilton, remember her? We've lost the boundary between what of me belongs to me and what belongs to the wide world. Like Sir Paul and Britney, we've allowed ourselves to be cloned. Now our faces and voices can be reproduced by computer technology, as I think Olivia was talking about, and made to say and do whatever the operator likes. Every day in the internet age, we see a new consequence of our Faustian bargain, and so, from the dark margins of the culture, legends and rumors of underground laboratories full of our doubles echo through the caverns of our nightmares. This is our nature. This is our monster. This is what we deserve. Podcasters.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, Nikki, you want to tell us your story? You got cloned, man.
Yeah. Yep, I woke up this morning and someone had taken just screenshotted 3 of my photos off my Instagram page and made a separate Instagram page using my photo and my Instagram name. And we're adding all my friends and trying to, I guess, use my image to promote some spammy website. So,
can I ask how this made you feel?
It was so inconvenient. That's all.
So you just
it was
felt
really so dramatic.
inconvenience.
It's like unnecessary.
You didn't have an emotional
drama
reaction to
my
it?
Day. Like I said, there's literally 3 photos of me that could be construed as provocative on my entire Instagram, and they found them and they put them up somewhere, but my Instagram's already public, so those photos were already up. So you know what I mean? It's not like someone hacked my phone, stole a photo of me, and then put the photo I didn't want anyone to see out there. I'm lucky in a way that the photo that someone stole of me was one I'd already put out to be seen. So it's nothing that I was like, oh, that's embarrassing or that's scandalous. I was a little bit really? At a few people who thought it was me and followed it thinking that it was me. What it...
Because
I don't know what that says about you and our friendship.
Because they didn't recognize that this was a faker.
Yeah. I thought maybe they were thinking they'd get to see me naked or something.
Oh.
And that's a little weird, because that's weird. And again, I'm all for women get sexually exploited all the time. When women want to make money off of that, I am so for that. But I know a lot of people hate this word, but I was raised such a raging feminist, such a poor, broke, raging feminist, that the 2 things I can't stand is men over sexualizing women and money. So I would never, at least at this point in my life, never do anything like that just because of
I didn't know feminists
my own
hated
personal
money.
Issues. No, it's to me. It's just
okay,
poor people.
Yeah.
I grew up poor, so I have a bad relationship with money, and I don't like it the way it gets lorded over.
But you didn't feel violated in that way then, so you didn't feel
No.
sexualized But did you feel a little bit like, I don't know, an uncanny feeling? Like someone could take your identity and act and do and say things as you, even though they're not you, regardless of the sexual connotation?
That is the concerning part, is like, because I realized, I was like, well, should I put my Instagram to private then? But then I realized, like, that really wouldn't change that much. Like, I'm sure, like, someone screenshotted it already. So even if I made it private now, random person out there has screenshotted my account. But yeah, I'm just lucky they weren't any, like, actually bad or embarrassing or provocative photos. But it is unsettling to know that someone can just take your face and put your name on it and just say something, and at least a decent amount of people will think it's you.
Our identities are in some way out of our hands these days, whether we like it or not. We're Instagram buddies. I don't run the podcast Instagram, but I click through people's photos. I see the kinds of things you post. You're right. There's nothing provocative about the things you post. And you're welcome to, by the way, dear Occult Confessions listeners. I'm fine with that too. Post away. But nevertheless, for some reason, you attracted the interest of these people, or you didn't. You just existed out there. Maybe that's the thing. You just were there to be taken and duplicated against your will, and your name to be used, and essentially your handle, your Instagram handle, with a little tweak. Yeah. It looked like you. It acted like you. It didn't act like you, but it looked like you.
Well, it's dangerous, especially with how young people use the internet now, like how young people start using the internet and how they're unaware. Like, I don't know, when I grew up, it was a huge thing. Like, whatever you put on the internet is there forever. Like, it was drilled into your head. So I'm aware of that. So I don't post anything that I don't want to circle back to me at some point. But it just stresses me out that there's so many kids on the internet who don't understand that the stuff they're putting out there can come back to them in a dangerous way.
And even with you not doing that, we can't control our identity in these spaces. It's the Wild West. Our identity is constantly up for grabs no matter what we do. You didn't get hacked, right? Nothing happened. You didn't click on the wrong thing. It's just there to take.
Someone just screenshotted my pictures. Yep.
And these clone conspiracies, in many ways, because they date to 2005, 1998, they anticipated this moment. Facebook was a little baby back then in 2005, and now it's a big monster. Instagram, like, none of these things existed, and now anyone can do anything. We see, people posting accounts that say the real XYZ. To try and distance themselves from all of the copy XYZs, because anyone can copy anything at any time. We live in an era of clones. My name is Dr. Rob C. Thompson. I am the Supreme Hierophant of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors, bringing this Doppelganger series sadly to a close, because this has been just great fun. I've loved everything about these episodes. It's close to my heart. These are the episodes, maybe not today's episode, but these are the episodes that really give me hope for the afterlife and the soul and the future of humanity. Olivia is stepping in right here at the end just to put this year to bed. All right, Olivia. All right. Say the last words of this show, of this year.
Oh, God. Okay. I hereby adjourn and declare closed this meeting of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors until such a time as we get together and do it again in the fucking new year.
We were joined by our newly christened Naked Truth, Nikki Hiller Henderson, NHH.
Bye.
Canadian Queen.
Here in the last moments of our fourth year, Olivia Littoral, our Grandmaster.
Yep. That's me.
With our next episode, which is only 2 weeks away, we initiate year 5 of Occult Confessions. Holy hell. Oh my goodness. That's exhausted crazy. Just thinking about it. So, here's where we're going. We're going to figure out in our next season what the heck happened to the pagans. We're going to figure out how the world got conquered by Christianity. By the world, I mean, except for, Asia, Islam, and lots of Antarctica. But how did the Western world become Christianized? Where did the pagans go? And by pagans, I don't just mean Celts and Druids, although we are going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the Norse people, Vikings. We're going to talk about Scandinavians. We're going to talk about indigenous peoples of the United States. We're going to talk about Tituba and Salem. Queens are going to get slapped, and Constantine's going to see rocks fly through the sky and tell him to love Jesus. It's going to be an exciting, weird series of episodes. Columbus is going to discover the Taínos. They're going to discover him back. It's not going to go well for anybody.
That guy.
Going to do it all. We're going to do the whole thing. So stay tuned, friends. Join us again for year 5 here on Occult Confessions.
Bye.
It's a cloning episode. Let me do I'll do an impression of Olivia saying goodbye, okay?
Go ahead.
Goodbye.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. I'm coming for your brand, Olivia.